to do a step-by-step drawing today of the Grinch's hand. I'm going to show you how to do it in pencil, and then if you want to color it at the end with colored pencils, you're more than welcome. But either way, you will be turning this in. All right, so I have my paper turned portrait, which is skinny ways, and I'm going to start on the right side. I'm going to go about 4 fingers down from the top, 5 fingers if you have smaller hands, and put a little mark, and then another 4 finger gap right here. So this is going to be the sleeve of his Santa Claus suit, and I'm just going to extend that up at a diagonal just a little bit. So that's going to be the start of his sleeve. And then from there, I'm going to connect those with a straight line for now. We're going to change that probably a little bit later. And I'm going to leave, say, for me, probably a 2 finger gap. If you have littler fingers, do about a 3 finger gap. I'm going to extend that line about there. Again, I'll connect those in a minute. All right, so I'm going to pick up, imagine that line continues there. Don't actually draw it. Pick it up here and stop when I get to about the middle of my page. Okay, same thing here. Imagine this continues. Stop about the middle of my page. All right, and then I'm going to bring this line down at an angle, so almost like it peaks right there. And then just for size reference, I'm about 4 fingers away from the edge of my page right there. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this line down. This is going to be the start of his pointer finger. So I'm just going to extend that down, probably till it's about, depending on where you started, but it should be about even with the bottom of your, I can bring mine down a little bit more, bottom of your sleeve. All right, so my thumb is going to go right here, but what kind of helps shape these a little bit easier, really lightly, because you might want to change it, I'm going to draw an upside down skinny teardrop. So think about a teardrop, and then we're going to extend it where it looks really skinny, kind of in this shape right here. Okay, upside down teardrop. So now I've got my pointer fingers a little more defined, and then now I know where my thumb needs to go. So I'm going to overlap my wrist there a little bit and just bring that right there. All right, so his fingers, if you've ever seen the movie, they have like hair that extends on the end. So I'm going to extend some hair, kind of going on the opposite direction. And then out from the thumb as well. Okay, and we'll clean all this up later. Actually, we'll make it messy later. All right, and then we need to do the other 3 fingers. So kind of right where this angle went off, I'm going to have the pinky finger. So for now, I'm going to keep it real light, just come off there. And then slightly more at an angle and slightly longer. You got the ring finger. And overlapping that one and a little bit longer, I'm going to have the middle finger. Okay, and then I'll erase that so it's not confusing. Okay, and then from there I'm going to extend the ends again with that little kind of hair on the ends. All right, so let's finish the sleeve up over here. All right, so on the bottom side closest to the fingers, I'm going to do a U shape because the sleeve's going to be a little bit baggy. And then same thing, and leave a skinny, kind of another U shape like that. Okay, so it's close on this side, and then we have a wide gap there. All right, and then I'm going to have an arch. Imagine that line keeps going, and I'm going to arch it over to connect there. All right, and now we're going to draw the ornament that he's holding. So right between where his fingers are pinched, I'm going to extend a line. This is the hook. And I'm going to wrap it around the bottom. So it actually looks like a hook. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this part. Okay. All right, so now we have the hook, and then I need to put the little loop-de-loo that it's going through. Right there is what the hook's hanging on to. And then this is going to be coming out of a really skinny little The little hole that holds the ornament in there. And then we'll have another skinny little oval. Okay, and then the sides are going to come out at a diagonal. And then I'm just going to have, just to keep it like a wavy line at the bottom, just keeping it a little simple. All right, and then from there, I'll just connect the ornament. So if you want to trace a circle or freehand it, or if you want to do a different kind of ornament, doesn't even have to be just a circular one. All right, so the ornament's broken because, you know, the Grinch is a bad guy. He broke the ornament. All right, so I'm going to put a shattered piece of the glass right here. So it's just a bunch of jagged lines along the base of the ornament. Okay, and now where these little sharp points are, I'm going to extend it, kind of like when we did our tree, how it branch. You don't have to go crazy with it, but just kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. So how it's Ying out like we did with the trees and the branches. All right, and then I'm going to shade this in later. All right, and then you could leave it like that, or if you want to add the broken part of the ornament down here. Maybe a little piece right there. All right, so there's the ornament part that he's leaving behind. Okay, so now let's kind of add some shading. If you want to do this with a colored pencil, you could do that as well. All right, so let's go to the sleeve. And around the edges here, because this would have some shadows, so it's going to be a little bit darker. And then the bottom under here is going to be a little bit darker. And then we're also going to have like a fold in the fabric. I guess 2 folds. So one here. So I'm just kind of coloring in that gray and coloring it there. And then I'm going to take my finger and just blend that. Okay. And now I'm going to go to this part, which is that white fuzzy area. I'm going to make the inside of the sleeve a little bit darker. I'm trying to add some texture, so I'm not coloring super neat. So around the edges, I'm adding these short little lines so it looks like those little fuzzy hairs. You can add some throughout, like added a few there. So around the edges, and they don't have to be perfect, they're going in opposite directions. You go all the way around the sleeve doing that. All right, so I added all my little fuzzies, and then I just took my finger and kind of blended that just to smooth it out and give it a little bit of color. All right, so now I'm going to add some shading to his hand, which is made of, like, he's very hairy. All right, so I'm gonna, instead of coloring all neat, I don't have to be this extreme. I'm just going to do these quick little pencil strokes. And again, if something's overlapping, I'm going to try to make it darker under there. I'm going to color that part so it's a little quicker. And then I'll continue with the little lines. Darken it in the darker spots. I'm going to do that all throughout. So keep the middle parts lighter, and then anytime there's an edge, like under here, which this actually has even more shadow. Under here, it's going to be a little bit darker. Edges are going to be a little bit darker. And you can mess it up a little bit too. Like I said, he's hairy. It shouldn't be these nice smooth lines that I did originally. All right, so once you're done with all his like fur, I guess, next thing we're gonna do is the ornament, and that's gonna be a little more smoother. So a lot of this had a lot of texture, whereas the ornament is gonna be quite a bit more smooth. Let's start with the hanger here. Actually, I want to make this line too curved. I'm gonna start with kind of shading in this area super light, but this one I'm going to color a little bit darker. Okay. And then I'm just going to kind of almost color in stripes because it's got ridges in this. And just take my finger and kind of blend that a little bit. All right, let's go to the ornament. And if you remember when we did a sphere, we started light and then faded to dark. And also it starts out rounding out to the right, assuming you're starting on the right. And then when you get to the middle, it's going to straighten out. So I'm curving to the right, and then when I get to the middle, my line's going to straighten out. And then it's going to flip-flop and curve the other direction. All right, so when I did mine, I guess I really didn't change the color too much. All right, so I'm going to keep it lighter on this side, and then I'm going to go back over it and start to make it gradually get darker. So it shouldn't be like light dark. It should be a gradual fade to make it get darker. All right, and then I'm going to take my finger, kind of blend that, make it look smooth. All right, so hopefully you have like a part that looks lighter, so it's your shiny part. And if you have an eraser and you can erase like 2 little lines as like your shine lines, that'd be even better. And then just clean it up. If you have any like patches that need to be darker, just kind of clean that up. All right, so where the crack was for the broken ornament, if you can leave like a little tiny border so it looks like you're seeing the inside edge of the ornament, leave that part as light as you can. Mine's kind of already like smudged in a little bit, but I'm still not going to color it as dark as in here. All right, so I'm going to fill this in dark. This should be the darkest part because it should look completely shaded because you're looking into the inside of the ornament, which should be like pitch black. All right, and then now that I've blended it, you really don't see like the broken glass anymore. So I'm just gonna go over those a little bit so it looks more shattered. All right, and then I'm gonna add a little shadow, a little more under here. Again, if something's overlapping, typically we have a little more shadow there. Okay. Oh, and then don't forget if you have the broken glass down here, we'll add a little to that. Again, I'm just doing the edges a little bit darker and then kind of fading the light in the middle because it should still be shiny because it is still glass. And then this little piece. I'm gonna add a little cast shadow too, just so it looks like it's sitting on the ground. All right, so I think this is pretty much done. Again, if you want to add color, you would basically just go over what I did, but instead of just using pencil here, you would use red. And I like to use multiple shades, like I've got mine here. So if I'm doing the green, I would mix as many greens as I could find and just kind of keep overlapping the colors. Same thing there, try to use, if it's lighter, use a lighter color. When it's darker, use a darker one. But you do not have to color this. But I do want you to turn this in, so please, please, please attach a photo.